in reviewing the statistics, in looking at the business, in looking at where we are, and as a company right now, we're running at about 30% over last year's numbers. We are totally taking this thing to the next level, one person at a time, one listing at a time, one sale at a time. That, ladies and gentlemen, is almost with zero, just a little above zero REO listings sold. We have almost no listings sold in the company. Last year, we had about 5%. We had a few agents that were taking a few deals. This year, I don't think we've had 25 total. Closed 2,000 transactions this year, or that's what we're on track to close. 25 of them are going to be REO listings sold. That's one deal at a time. That's not wholesale, ladies and gentlemen, that's retail. One transaction at a time. So I wrote this down there. In order to stay focused, in order to not only survive but thrive this market, I wrote down we must commit ourselves to change today. We must commit ourselves to change today. It's not easy. It's essential that we get this message. It's not an easy message. Change is never easy. No one wants to change what we're doing. But you have to get it to grow in this market. Now, sometimes we feel that time has passed. Sometimes we feel like opportunity has left us. Sometimes we feel like we're not there. That decisions that we've made in the past kind of come back and we're stuck with them. You know, it's like the old saying, I've made my bed, now I have to sleep in it. Or, that's just the way it is. I can't change. People like me don't get those opportunities. Or, it's the way it's always been. Or how about this one? I'm a woman. What can I do? Or, I'm too young. No one will listen to me. Something I learned today on the way in. You know, Neil Armstrong died this weekend. He was the first man, first man, I guess, to step foot on the moon. And he took with him in his flight suit a piece of the wing from the Wright brothers Kitty Hawk, the first airplane that flew. You guys remember that? Wright brothers? Do you know that that was only 67 years old? 67 years before man walked on the moon? 67 years had gone from the first flight to the first man walking on the moon. 67 years, a very short lifetime by our standards. That was amazing to me, because when I read the history books, I think of the Wright brothers being in a completely another world, another time. But it was 67 years before Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. The Wright brothers got that first airplane off. We can change. Things change. Opportunities change. Opportunities come into our way. Another reason that things won't change is, you know, you've heard, my English isn't so good. People were going to make fun of me. Or, I'm not smart enough. Or, my old favorite, I'm just a poor little Jewish boy from Pico Rivera. I read from a very wise person a little story, and I want to read it to you. Just think about it. I'll send it to you later today. This person wrote, when I was in high school, I couldn't wait to get to college. In college, I'd be living away from home. I could pick my own classes. I'd be much more independent. That's when life really begins. Then when I was in college, she writes, I couldn't wait to graduate and then get a job. In college, I was still a student, still a kid in the eyes of my teacher. Once I started earning my own money and being financially independent, that's when real life begins. She goes on and says, then when I was a young professional, I couldn't wait to get married. Being single was fun, but I wanted to settle down. I wanted to start my own family. Then we could have kids, and that's when life really begins. Then when I was a working mother, she says, I couldn't wait until I retired. My kids would all be out of the house and married. I'd have more time to focus on my hobbies and my passions. I'd volunteer. I'd take up golf. That's when real life begins. She writes, here I am, an old 75-year-old retired woman who wants to tell all the working mothers and to tell all the young professionals, to tell the college students and to tell the high school students that real life begins today, where you are. Where you are right now. It's not tomorrow. It's not next week. It's not next month. It's not when. It's not when I earn $1 million, when I earn $5 million, when I have $20 million. It's not then. It's today. That was the story she wanted to say. The question, what is the most important thing that a person needs to do? Think about that. What's the most important thing in your life that you need to do? What's the most important thing? All of us are going to have a different response. The response of this wise person was, whatever a person has to do right now is the most important thing. Whatever a person has to do right now is the most important thing. They went on to write, be in the moment. Be in the moment. What would it look like to treat every moment, every task in our lives as if it was the most important thing that we were doing right then and there? From the mundane to the sublime. Whenever we're in line at the post office or in our car commuting to work, whether we're tying our shoes in the morning or whether we're putting together an Excel spreadsheet, whether we're playing with our children or whether we're playing with our grandchildren, what would it feel like to be fully, right now, in each one of those moments? See, what happens to us is more often than not that we get easily distracted. And write that down. We are too easily distracted. We are too easily distracted. Our minds begin to drift. We take our smartphones from our pockets just to see if a new email's arrived. We're talking to someone. We're having a conversation at dinner with the family, and we reach into our pocket, or right next to us at the table, we look at our phone. It didn't ring. It didn't go off. We just want to look, because maybe there's something there. Now, probably one of the most disrespectful things that we could possibly do is do that. You don't like it. If you're standing in line at a store, or you're standing in line at some place to eat, and you are just ready to give your order, or you're just ready to pay at the register, and the phone rings and the clerk picks up the phone and starts talking on the phone and giving directions to the next person to come to the store, How does that make you feel? You want to take the phone and the receiver and you want to christen them, right? You want to bop them on the head. What do you mean? You're not talking to me. I have an order here. I'm going to spend $100 with you right now. Right now. Who you're on the phone with is tomorrow business, maybe. But right now, in front of me, in front of you, is somebody who wants to give you money. What are you doing? We do this with our family. We do it with our kids. I'm just as guilty as anyone else. I have my whole family at dinner, and I have my cell phone out on the table. Now, the truth is, at 8 o'clock on a Sunday night, there is no one more important to me than my family who's all there, right? Now, if you guys call, it's going to go to voicemail. I'll pick it up later, okay? But right now, on 8 o'clock Sunday night, I should be focused, right? Say yes. 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 But we're not, are we? We're looking at the email. We're looking at the text message. It's happening right now. You're distracted. You're not focused. You're thinking of something else. It's what happens to us. I wrote down here, it takes an act of will to try to see the choices that are before us in any given moment. It takes conscious effort to commit our attention and energy to the task at hand. You're not where you want to be. You're not where you should be, financially, family, health-wise, because you tend not to be in the moment. You're thinking of where you should have been. If you're at work, it's what I should be doing with the family. If you're with the family, it's what I should be doing at work. Stop it. Stop doing that to yourself. When you're at work, work. Stay focused, be consistent, be committed. When you're with your families, be with your families. Those emotions that are going to go up and down start to settle out. I wrote down here, technology has made the challenge even greater. With smartphones buzzing constantly and thousands of notifications popping up on our computer screens, it's harder than ever to stay focused. I have a friend of mine that tried doing this. I can try this if you want. It's hard. I've tried it. Anytime the phone rings, anytime the phone buzzes, anytime the music plays on your cell phone, make a conscious decision to count to 3 before you answer it. Should I be interrupting this moment? Is the question you should ask yourself. Should I be interrupting this moment? Is the question you need to be asking yourself. If you think it is, then do it. If you think it isn't, stay focused with it. I wrote down here, the greatest gift we can give ourselves, our partners, our children, our friends, is our time and attention without interruption. Without interruption. Annie Dillard said, how we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives. How we spend our days is how we will spend our lives. You are where you are because it's okay with you. Because if it wasn't okay with you, you would change. Simple. Simple thought. You are where you are because it's okay with you. You earn the money you earn. You have what you have, little or a lot, much or little. You know your scripts and dialogues because you learned them. Or you don't know your scripts and dialogues because you haven't. How many times do you wish you were out prospecting or talking to a client or in front of somebody, and do you wish that, oh my gosh, I really wish I would have practiced a little bit more, a little bit harder, because here's that opportunity. It's right in front of me, and I don't know how to handle it right, or I don't know how to handle it perfectly. How we spend our days is how we will spend our lives. If we are eating healthy, we will have a healthy life. If we are prospecting and earning and growing our business, we will have a great life. If we are growing and working with our children and our families, we will have a magnificent life. How we spend our days is how our life will be. I wrote down here, today matters. Take time today to start working on the scripts you've been putting off. There's a script each of you should be working on right now. How to overcome this objection. How to make this listing presentation a little bit better. Remember, as listings get harder, not everyone is going to roll over and go out of business. They're going to wake up one morning and they're going to say, whoa, I better learn my presentation. I better learn what to say and how to say it. And I better learn it at a high level. And it might take a week. It might take a month. It might take 6 months. But when you meet them and they've been practicing and you haven't, they will beat you. You're okay where you're at now. But are you going to be okay 3 or 6 months from now? Because tomorrow starts today. Write that down. Tomorrow starts today. Whatever you want tomorrow, money, family, lifestyle, starts today. What you want tomorrow starts today. Take time today to make the 40 contacts you've been promising yourself that you would do if you had time. Today, 40 contacts. Talk to 40 people. What the heck? See what happens. How bad could it be? Take time today to call the loved one or friend and just tell them how much they mean to you or how much you miss them. Take time today to focus on getting one more listing this week. Your life will change. 90% of it anyway. Massively. If you can end up getting another listing or 2 a month. Think about that. Another listing or 2 a month for the balance of the year. 2 listings a month, 8 more months. 4 more months, 8 more listings. 8 more listings, average $10,000 a deal. How would you like to have an additional, on top of whatever you were going to make anyway, $80,000? If you don't, I do. I'm just curious. It's okay. Don't do it for you. Do it for me. If you don't want to do it for you, I get it. Sometimes it's easier to do it for others. So if you'll do it, you're doing it for me. And that's okay. I like it. Take time today to start working on the scripts that you've been putting off. Take time today to make the 40 contacts you've been promising yourself that you would make. Take time today to call that loved one. And then let's go out and make this the best week we've ever had. Thank you.